Go. Recording. Well, hello. Thank you for joining us today. I am so excited to have my friend, Tribe Giauque, with me. She has written a new book, and it's amazing. She's a coach and a speaker and a author that is going to be winning tons of awards and a bestseller, and I can't wait to see if her movie comes out, which is another plan. So April, welcome. Please tell us, how did you come to this point that you are right now where you're doing what you're doing? What's your journey?
So the journey took a lot of years to come about. And I think as we whittle it down to one thing, I was on a search to try and figure out what my self-worth was. Was I worth being loved?
Right.
That's kind of the foundation of it. And I think so many of us are on a similar type of a journey. And it could be because of events that happened prior into their life, or usually it's something like this, accumulations of things, or sometimes it's an impactful event. And it sets us on this journey of trying to figure out who we are, where did we come from, what's our purpose here, and so on and so forth. And for me, I was definitely trying to find that concept of, am I lovable? What is my worth? And how can I share what I have to offer with other people? So it's interesting in the journey that my challenges and trials happened as a kid. Was sexually molested by a neighbor, and that kind of started this whole journey into the spiral down of shame and what that all is. Right. Now, with that, it doesn't, the story of that those events that happened that summer really kind of set a course for my questioning, but I really didn't understand what I was questioning. I just knew that there was a loss there was a hole there, and I wanted to fill it back up with what I felt like prior to that event. My childhood with my parents, with my siblings, was, great, fun. I always think of summer, and I think of holidays when I think of my family, because in the summertime we did lots of family projects. Yeah. And in the holidays we always had family around us. So, those were really encapsulating times. And then I had this event that happened, and of course didn't say anything to anyone, and felt like, I don't know, I guess I can soldier on, figure out how to do this. And somewhere along the line of that event, and I misinterpreted, or I took it to mean that what I could produce would equal how much I was loved. Now, my parents never said anything like that. They never, gave this conditional love, like if you do this, then, these good things will happen. But I equated that with it. So anything I would start to do, I fell into what I call my 3 P's of poison: my pleasing, my performance, and then the perfection. And it just became this daily poison of drink that I would take, obviously figuratively. But it started to cast a lot of doubt, and I started to listen to those doubtful voices, the negative voices, your inner critic. You can name it a whole bunch of things, and I named it the shame shadow, because it was always back there, no matter where I was. Now, what was interesting is that with all shadow, in order to cast a shadow, you need to have light. So I was actually standing in light, but I was actually looking behind me at the shadow.
Okay.
And really, all I had to do was turn and face the light. Yes. That God was trying to shine on me the whole time. He never left. Right. But all I was focused in on was that shadow, the what I messed up on. Oh, I wasn't perfect at that. And you see what I mean? It just started to spiral out.
Oh, wow.
Well, in the journey of things, I kind of started to split into 2 worlds, so to speak, where I had this pleasing perfection performance type of thing that everyone kind of knew me as, and then I had all my pain over here.
Okay.
And I just didn't know exactly how to process it and how to do things. I always believed in God. I always believed that Heavenly Father was there for me and would listen to me, but I didn't dare really ask for things like forgiveness or for redemption or anything like that. I didn't really know how to do those things. I just knew that he was there for me.
Right.
So it started on this particular journey of going through all of those events that I would definitely have high times and really good things happening. I left a lot of the pain and performance stuff behind to a degree, and because that had led me into anorexia and all of those kinds of things, because I was looking for control, something to control the pain that I was having. Because I didn't understand how Christ could, like, the whole concept of being yoked with him means, like, he's all powerful. He's basically carrying the whole weight.
Right.
He's going with me. That's a journey in itself to really understand. Now, people can tell you, I mean, I just told your audience that.
Right.
Who
Right.
believes it has to be their own individual journey.
Yes.
So, as funny as it sounds, through all of these things, I ended up going through domestic violence and abusive marriage. And I don't mean to say that that's funny. I'm just saying it's an irony that going through all of these things, and then I start to have this high, and then I start to falter back into this pain, which is what my first book is about, called Pinpoints of Light: Escaping the Abyss of Abuse, and how our journey through that, and I say our because by the time it all ended, I had 5 children, and learning about what addiction, what pornography, what childhood pain. I learned that he also was molested and abused sexually, and he was trying to figure out his pain.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't excuse it, but I find it fascinating that for the majority of people, there is some type of event, pain, shame that happens, and the whoever causes it doesn't necessarily matter. It is what we do with that journey. So as I escaped and left, I started to learn a lot more about how to heal. And through that healing journey, I learned, oh, this is what the atonement means.
Right.
This is how the application actually works. And what is interesting is that when I was 43 years of age, so I'm 46 right now.
Yeah.
But at 43, I was folding laundry and just kind of, I mean, I've got 9 children. So it's laundry. Like, I'm not kidding.
Wow.
It's a lot of it. And doing this folding and just kind of talking back and forth. And I thought, oh, I'll just throw an interview that I was wanting to watch for a while. And it was an interview based on just kind of some of my favorite people who I love to watch. They're comedians, and they were asking really serious questions about religion, about their testimonies, about all of these things. And so in one of the questions, it said, how do you know that Heavenly Father loves you? And I was like, oh, I'm cluing into this. And she said, here's my experience. I knew of that love, but how I understood the depth of it didn't happen until I had my first child. So you go through the pains of labor, you deliver this baby, and I'm now holding this incredible little boy. And I had this enveloping amount of love for this child. And he hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
And she said, in fact, I think he pooped on me. And she's a comedian. And she just said, I was so overwhelmed that I understood an infinitesimal amount of what the love our Heavenly Father has for us. And we don't have to do anything.
Right.
Oh my goodness. I was folding socks. I mean, I was like, I finally got it. That I didn't have to please. I didn't have to perform. Now, I thought I had taken care of a lot of those things, and I had. But that moment at that time was like the permission to just understand the fullness of it.
Wow.
It was the most beautiful night. And the next day, I was prompted to start writing Pinpoints of Light. Like, I need to write this and get the story out. And what happened in that story, I don't mean to be this way, but this story also came out. And I'm like, wow, 2 for 1. So published one at the beginning, and then this year publishing Out of Darkness, which is kind of that first story that I've shared with you. So it was a powerful
Wow.
journey. So
Amazing.
hope that.
Two things. I see the lighthouse behind you, and I love
Yeah.
lighthouses myself, and that makes sense, the pinpoint of light. The other thing I want to ask you about is I see you signing, April,
Oh,
and that's amazing thing. You can talk about the lighthouse first and then the signing.
no, go ahead. I'll sign. So in Why My Hands Move, I should probably be interpreting and signing right now. So I have 9 children, and my first 5 children were born in my first marriage, and my first 3 children have autism. So then we did the single parent thing for a while. I was homeless for a bit when we had first escaped, and then was able to get an apartment. I worked as a teacher, and that was how I built the exit plan. So from there, we were single for a while, and then got the prompting of, hey, it's time to start dating. And I'm like, oh, I'm a catch. 5 kids, 3 with autism, high special needs. Sure. Who's going to come knocking at my door? And it was like, you need to do this. So online I went, and sure enough, long story short, I was married 2.5 years after I had left my abusive situation, and basically had 4 more kids really quick. And number 6 and number 8 were born deaf.
Wow.
So there you go.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
started to learn how to sign, and now I teach at the Texas School for the Deaf, and so it's just kind of a part of things, and try to involve more people wherever I can. So
Wow.
move.
What an amazing story, April. So tell me, how can I help you? How can people, get your coaching, your speaking, your books? Tell us about that.
Sure. Well, a fast way is definitely at the website, www.apriltribe. Tribe is my maiden name. So
Really?
yes,
Okay.
it really is. So April Tribe Giauque, GIAUQUE.com. And that's Swiss French, and that's from my second husband. So April Tribe Giauque, and there we have programs and things set up. So who I really try and help and coach are twofold, where I help a lot of women who are in domestic violence. I also help a lot of what I call our social community needs through the domestic violence, to know that this
Wow.
is actually not a women's issue, because sometimes when we
Yes.
label it domestic violence, we label it as a women's issue and then half usually tune out on that.
Right.
And what I do is I help to spotlight. There's actually a war on men happening here, because more men abuse more women, abuse more children, and abuse other men.
Right.
What's happening? That's a big question to ask, why. And so we look at it from that angle to know how to support, how to help our women escape and do our exits plans, as well as looking at the bigger picture, because I'm raising sons, right? I have 5 sons of my 9 children, and I want to make sure that they are protectors, providers, and leaders of the family, and not hunters of the family.
Right. Oh, wow.
So
Amazing.
that's a big piece that we do. And the second thing is all with writing. I found that in helping the women, usually what they wanted to do was to express things. Now, I'm not a certified counselor. I do a lot of coaching. And in the coaching, what they wanted was to share their stories.
Right.
And I was really excited about all of this. And I discovered that there's kind of the 3 levels of the storytelling. And our first level is what I connect with our victims who have just left. They have to express the story.
Right.
And then we see that start to transition into our survivors, and man, they wear that label proud, and it's great. It's part of this journey of healing. And so they talk all about their survival, and you can't knock me down, and I won't ever go back. And it's great because they finally have their voice, and they have their strength, and they really step into that. And then we go into this next piece, which are the thrivers, who realize that there's more than just surviving every day.
Right.
There's this concept of true life. And in helping my final client just a few weeks ago, we discovered there's a 4th, which is actually the victor. And
Oh,
so
great.
going from victim, survivor, thriver to now victor, what that means is the victor truly forgives all.
Oh,
So it is
wow.
quite a process to get to
Yes.
that level.
Yes.
So in writing the stories, we help them go through those things. Many of them are starting to get published and start, really on the speaking and all that. So in the coaching, that's where that comes about. I also ghostwrite to help where some women aren't able to actually write the story, but we share an interview, and then goes into my head and into my heart, and then out my hands is their
Oh,
story. So
amazing.
we do.
That's just cool. I've been a counselor for about 30 years, and I started as a school counselor. So I
Oh,
have a little book that's going to become a bigger book of what the kids wrote and the pictures they drew. And it was heart-wrenching for them living in domestic violence. And the other thing I saw, April, was the connection with alcoholism or drug addiction, not just the dad, but the mom. And there were times when the mom was the abuser
yep.
because she came from that or came from another relationship. I had one child who had 9 different parent figures in their life, most of them abusive, and that trauma itself of not having any continuity. And that's difficult. It's really difficult for kids as well. So you've got a real holistic opportunity there, and you're doing a tremendous service to the world and to these women and to the whole family, because when you
Right.
help a woman to get well, the children get well in the next relationship. And sometimes I know that that's the final straw that might get that man to go into treatment or vice versa, or get the help they need.
Right.
So kudos to you, April. Thank God that he led you to this service, this ministry kind of thing that you have,
Right. Right.
serving others, doing his purpose, that you have become a faucet of hope, which is my thing. And that, my book is Speak to Me, God, I'm listening. You did that. You listened, you did what he called you to do, and the world is a much better place. So when you think of all the lives, you work with a woman and now her children are better, and now everything beyond that is better. And it's just millions of people you're going to impact. So thank you, April, for listening to God. Can you spell your name with your website again? You went so fast and I'm still struggling with it.
Sure. It's April Tribe, and then Giauque. And yes, there are 2 U's.
Okay. All
Yes.
right. And they can Google something close to that,
Yes.
or they could Google pinpoints of light,
10 points of light, right?
which,
And we just went up for pre-sale for Out of Darkness, so
yay.
that was really exciting and new. And we have our big book launch for that towards the end of June, on June the 28th. And so we've got our Eventbrite connections out there, which should be going live tonight if everything goes well on the website.
Oh,
Right, so that link will be up there for that. And yeah, we're excited to bring people in, because of course we'll do this virtually, and help people know, because like you were saying, where you have the hope, I understand really this whole concept of light. So this is the sign for a lighthouse.
oh,
So
cool.
it's foundationally sound on the rock, and
Oh,
it's the rock of
wow.
Christ for me.
Yeah.
And then as the light shines out, you'll never find a lighthouse out in the middle of an ocean. You'll find it sound, on a
On
sound
the
piece of
rock.
rock,
Yes.
in order to shine out where the
Yes.
tumultuous, the rocky seas, I can't speak, are happening. And it's just out there beckoning for people to come, and to come into those safe harbors. You've got lower lights, you've got this upper light, and to bring them home. It's really interesting that some of the women who I work with, many of them have this feeling of nurturing, and they're really strong empaths, and they want to continue to help the person that was hurting them so much, because they can see the place where they came from was so much pain. They still want to help them. So what we try to do in some of these programs is to say that you're right, and validate they do need help. You are
Right.
absolutely right. And they are worth saving. All souls are worth saving.
Right.
All. So
Yes.
that man who beat you terribly, that mom who beat the child terribly,
Right.
whomever it is, they're all worth saving.
Yes.
Now the catch is, you are to stand on a strong foundation and to
Right.
shine your light out. not hop in a boat and try and swim over there and watch them drown you again.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can't do it.
Right.
That's the counselor's jobs, the advocate's jobs. Unfortunately, sometimes it's the parole officer's job or probation officers. So there are people in place. There are systems. Are they perfect? No. But what we want people to know and realize is that their prayers can always continue, and they can shine and be that light and get healthy and heal for themselves and for their family and for the generations beyond that.
Yeah.
And of course, that's how we start to break these cycles.
Right.
And ultimately, when we're raising our boys, we want them to learn that they are the protector, the provider, and a leader. And in that comes great responsibility. And it takes people who are sound, takes people who really love to know that that happens, because ultimately we're going to make mistakes. And as we make mistakes, the mistake is the piece that kind of gets highlighted. Unfortunately, it also gets labeled onto the person.
Right.
Well, they're a liar.
Yeah.
What we need to show is those are mistakes. You're still worth loving.
Yes.
Now, there are some responsibilities if you did lie or steal that you're going to pay for, but you are still worth that fight. You are still worth loving. So
Right.
if we can help get that perspective, that really starts to make that change.
Right. Exactly. So really appreciate you being on, April, and sharing what you did. And I'll be looking forward to being a part of things for the future and to partner with you. So I'm excited. Let's get her done.
Yes, for
All
sure.
right.
Let's do
Okay.
it.
Oh,
Thank
God bless you. You're welcome. Take care.
Bye-bye.